Hi, everybody. Welcome to Making the Grade. I'm Michelle Edmonds from Idaho News 6. We so appreciate you joining us live on Facebook today. And it is a day, isn't it, where thousands upon thousands of parents may finally learn what's going to happen with school for the next year. Joining me, as he always does, is Kevin Richard from Idaho Education News. Kevin, we thought we were going to learn yesterday what the Boise School District's fall plan was. That didn't quite happen. And today we're supposed to learn what's happening with another 40,000 children in the West Ada School District. What's your take on the fall reopening plans?
Well, you set the stage just right here. It's a very eventful day for parents in West Ada and now ultimately the Boise School District. We expect to have word, hopefully by the end of the night, about what the fall plans look like for 65,000 students in the Treasure Valley. I mean, this is a big news day for education. It's a big news day. It's a big day on a personal plane for parents and students in this valley.
Well, and as we're scrolling through the story that you posted at idahoednews.org, this is talking about the failure of the meeting last night that the Boise School District was supposed to happen, and it was a technical failure. Tell us a little bit, in case people haven't heard, Kevin, why the plan didn't go through last night.
Well, it was a mess. I mean, there's no two ways around it. The meeting was supposed to start at 5:30. A bunch of people, who knows how many people, but certainly I can attest to it, and we can attest to it here at Idaho Education News. We were trying to log in and get into the stream for the meeting. You can see some of the error messages that we received. I did some screen snaps of those. From what we could gather and from what we could glean off of social media, because there was a lot of chatter during the course of the meeting that wasn't, people trying to figure out what was going on. Was the meeting actually taking place? Was the meeting put on hold? Lots of confusion and lots of frustration that we heard and was expressed on Boise School District's social media platforms. We know that there have been, hundreds of people who have submitted testimony, who have submitted comments on this plan. We know that, there were, they had 90 minutes blocked off for public comments. I'm sure that would have gone by really quickly and probably will go by pretty quickly tonight. There is so much public interest in this decision, as you would expect. I mean, we're talking about the immediate fate of education for 25,000 students in this community. And this was the day. And with every day that passes, now we're 13 days away from the scheduled start of the school year. Parents, staff, students really wanting to know what to expect and when to expect things to fall into place here. The delay, I think, really left a lot of people frustrated and confused. And the district will try again tonight, and they're scheduled to meet at 6:30. They've blocked off a 4-hour time window to meet to discuss this. As I've mentioned, you'll have some public testimony. You'll have recommendations from the administration, and ultimately, it's going to come into a vote. If all goes to plan, there will be a vote sometime this evening, and a plan put into place.
And the West Ada School Board trustees meeting at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Yes, and we'll have coverage of that. We'll have coverage from West Ada in the afternoon. I'm covering that meeting. Sammy Edge will be covering the Boise School Board meeting for us tonight, because you and I, we have a town hall that we're doing at the same time, talking about K-12 opening issues. So we're booked up here, and we're juggling to get it all covered.
And if you're just joining us live on Facebook, we'd love to hear your comments, your thoughts. Have you made decisions about what is going to happen with your kids for next year? Has the decision been made for you? Because as we do know, some school districts have already put out their plan. You and I brought it as breaking news even a couple of weeks ago that Caldwell School District put out a plan. The Nampa School District is going all online, as we now know. But Kevin, let's talk about what Central District Health, that controls Ada County and a couple of other surrounding counties, but specifically Ada County. Central District Health put Ada County into a red zone, meaning that they are saying, the health district here for this week is saying that kids should not return to the classroom if they're in the Boise School District, West Ada School District, or CUNA School Districts. At this point where the COVID-19 numbers stand, Central District Health says don't expect to go back to the classroom. Will that play a role in what happens in these meetings at Boise and in West Ada tonight?
I think it's definitely going to be a factor as trustees figure out what to do in these two districts. Not really a surprising development here from Central District Health. The numbers have been increasing rapidly over the course of the summer. So the announcement from Central District Health that the spread within Ada County is so extensive that the health district would recommend closing schools and going to online learning. Not really a surprise. Even last week, Boise Superintendent Kobe Dennis was sending out signals that he felt like, with what's going on with coronavirus, that the odds of opening the school year face to face, those odds were shrinking. And this recommendation, and it is just a recommendation, this recommendation from Central District Health, I think, puts that into even sharper focus. And worth noting that the health district is saying this just for Ada County, not for the other three counties within its purview. Central District Health administers Ada County, Boise County, Elmore County, and Valley County. They don't administer Canyon County, and we've already talked about a couple of the school districts in Canyon County where we're seeing some very sharp increases in coronavirus cases as well. But Central District Health drawing the distinction between what's happening in Ada County and the other three counties where you do have coronavirus cases, you do have increases, but not of the magnitude that we're seeing in Ada County.
Kevin hinted at it just a few minutes ago. We are holding the special town hall session of Safely Back to Schools tonight, right here on Facebook. Kevin and I are going to be moderating that. And we have a whole list of panelists for you, all of you on Facebook land, to talk to and ask your questions to, from the top medical experts here locally, to teachers themselves and how they're feeling, to Central District Health representatives, and Ada County Commissioner will be on that panel. And it's going to be fascinating to see where everybody falls, Kevin. That town hall, again, scheduled for 6:30 tonight right here. You can join us and it will be posted to Facebook from then on. What's your hot take? What's your hot question that you really want to get answered from our panel tonight?
I think what I most want to hear, and I think what I suspect a lot of our viewers are going to want to see and hear, is some straight talk about the health risks for kids, for staff, for the community. There's so much that we've learned over the course of the summer. There's so much that we've seen over the course of the summer with the coronavirus case numbers in the Treasure Valley, but we don't know. And the health officials and the health experts are probably still trying to figure this out. Just how much does face-to-face instruction increase the risk of coronavirus spread, and who is most at risk? Is it kids? Is it teenagers? Is it adults? Is it older adults? I mean, what are the risks, and what is the likelihood of spread coming from a school, originating from a school? So I think that's what I'm going to most want to hear. And I'm glad that we have some health experts who can talk about, the public health implications, but also the health implications for children, for teenagers, and for adults.
I have a couple of viewer comments I want to bring in here. Verlin weighing in, teachers are not responsible for the recovery of the economy, babysitting children, or getting us back to normal. Stop trying to quilt them into risking their lives because the government failed us. And there's another comment here from Daria saying there are so many reasons these kids need to be back in school. So you're seeing, two people there giving their thoughts, their opinions on what needs to happen. And both of them make accurate points that there's a risk for the teachers, for the educators that may be very different for the children. And how do school districts weigh that? Because these are their employees as well. It's not just the students they have to worry about.
Right. And, let's look at what's going on in Boise right now, where you have presented parents with this online option. And more than 3,000 kids are already signed up for online school in Boise. And that number is only going to increase because the deadline for signing up is Friday. So it can only go up from here. So we know at least 3,000 kids are signed up. But this also gets to the point of staffing. Now the district is figuring out how to staff and which teachers to put into this. And the hope is that, maybe the district will be able to line up and put teachers into the online setting who are most at risk, who maybe have some underlying health issues and maybe have some underlying health concerns about going into a classroom, and have those teachers working in the online classroom. It is really complicated for educators and for school administrators to figure out how to navigate the health risk for teachers, the health risk for students. And the other comment that you quoted before about the need to get kids in school and the reasons for getting kids back in school, I don't think anybody would dispute that. I think any educator, any administrator would tell you, yes, we would love to get kids back in school where they belong and where they, function best, where they learn best. But right now it's a question of safety.
Julie's making the point here. How can a first grader do online school on their own? And if you'd like to see a town hall discussion about childcare and how to deal with the crisis coming for parents who maybe can't work from home and having to do online school, none of this is easy. And Kevin, you and I have been saying that from day one as we've been covering this story since March. All of these are issues, and nobody, including everyone across the nation, nobody seems to have really good answers.
Right. And you mentioned the child care issue. That is a big concern right now. And I know Karen Lair did a town hall for you all last week on this issue, because this is a big deal. I mean, what you do with kids in the middle of this and how you find safe and secure childcare in the middle of this pandemic, we haven't got that figured out yet. And we're several months into the pandemic, and now we're heading into another school year where, for parents, that issue of what you do with kids outside of the school day, or with kids who are not in school full time, kindergartners or preschool kids, very complicated issue. And as the State Board of Education had a meeting last week to talk about education issues, that childcare issue really came to the forefront. A lot of concern about the availability and the access to childcare in the middle of this pandemic.
And it goes straight to the heart of our economy then as well. This is interesting. Nina makes the point, the children that are on IEPs, who are on specialized plans for their learning for whatever situation they may be facing, she's suggesting that they should have the option to go back to the classroom, because not every child can learn online. And I think what will be fascinating, Kevin, as well, is to watch how different school districts make certain decisions, including this one. Maybe kids on IEPs. Maybe it might be that kindergartners or first graders in some districts get to go back to school because they have to have that face-to-face contact. And what I hope that we can do is take the best practices from every different school district and implement them into perhaps even a statewide situation where this information can be shared so that nobody feels like they're on an island.
Right. And I think we would all hope that heading into what looks like a second school year, where there's going to be some online component, where there's going to be some blended component of online and face-to-face, you would hope and you would expect that schools are going to take some of the things that they learned along the way last spring, apply some of the best practices that they found along the way last spring, and put that into the mix for this next school year.
I want to bring in a few more comments here, Kevin. Let me bring in a couple more. This is Michelle Bryan saying that they had zero contact from school last year, just packets. School districts are promising that there is going to be some face-to-face contact, although some districts haven't even proposed what that plan looks like yet. Here's another comment. Kids cannot social distance if they have to ride a bus. So you're right, it's not just classrooms, Jolie, that we're talking about here. There are so many other logistics that these school districts have to deal with. What does lunch look like? What do halls and passing periods look like for older kids? How do you not have assemblies or field trips? What do you cancel? And then this one from Deborah. I like this, Deborah. I support whatever my district decides, but for the sanity of my family, and we are hearing you there, I hope it's in person. Doesn't everybody? Deborah's saying, I've got a senior, an eighth grader, a third grader. Many households don't have a parent at home who can help. It should not be the older siblings' responsibilities, especially since they'll have their own work to do. I have to say, sanity is the word, and it's finding the balance, Kevin. And I think that's where tonight's town hall, where we can talk to medical experts, parents, you're going to get some real information, teachers, you're going to get some real information about what's happening here in Idaho.
Right, and to talk to some educators too, and get a sense of what, you know, what are they expecting to be able to do with kids, and how can parents help, and how can parents support? I think that's really important conversation to have, because we're sitting here August 4th, and the signs are pointing towards online learning this fall to some degree, or maybe entirely online, as NAMPA is planning to be in its school year entirely online. We know there's going to be a mix of online learning and in-person learning in a lot of schools across the state. So how do parents navigate this the second time around? How do educators navigate it the second time around? And how can we do it better for kids?
One of the guests we're going to have on tonight's town hall panel, which I think all of you will really enjoy. I had a fantastic conversation with her yesterday, is a teacher from West Ada who has actually been piloting an online classroom this summer. She gathered about 10 students together who she knew. She's a fifth grade teacher. And the district asked her to see how this would work. And she's got some really brilliant things to say about, for parents who are going to have to deal with this, for teachers who are going to have to learn to teach online, because she's gone through some hills and some valleys, as she would say, but it's going to be fun. She'll be one of our panelists again on tonight's town hall at 6:30 this evening.
I'm looking forward to hearing from her, and it really is a great lineup that you all have set up. I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody, and we'll have a lot of questions, and we'll just kind of stay out of the way and let the experts talk. I'm really looking forward to hearing them.
Kim is saying, I'd love to see our districts decide to postpone opening for a few weeks so we can watch the numbers, the COVID-19 numbers, give parents and teachers some time to find care for their kids if virtual is happening, give our community partners time to implement school age care programs. And I would add that employers are going to need time too to try and figure out what their workforce looks like if schools are online. Do you see that as a possibility? Could we see a push from school districts? It's already happened in Caldwell and Nampa, correct? That they've postponed school out at least a week or so.
They've postponed the start in both of those school districts, but a district that I thought of as I looked at that comment is CUNA. CUNA has decided that they're going to go with a hybrid model. And let's backtrack, because I think most people know what a hybrid model looks like, but CUNA's model is pretty similar to what we've seen, that we're going to see in Caldwell, that we're likely to see in Valley View. That means at least one day a week, all kids are learning at home. All kids are learning online. And then the rest of the week, kids are going to be in school part of the time, or maybe the full week. They may be there alternating days. That's what CUNA is trying to do when they go back in later this month. But they've set a September 30th date to kind of revisit where things stand. And part of what CUNA wants to see, part of what the administrators want to see, is what's going on with the case numbers. We don't know what we're going to be looking at the end of September. That's almost 2 months away. And, it feels like we've been dealing with coronavirus forever, but we're only a few months into the pandemic. And 2 months, we've seen a lot can change within 2 months. The case numbers in Ada County grew exponentially through much of the summer. Now, the past couple of days, and it is very small, it's too small to even really call it a trend. And here's the question. Yes, the case numbers over the past couple of days, the new case numbers in Ada County have dropped. That's only 2 days. I mean, I think we all hope that that's a sign of things to come. I think we all hope that that's a trend in the making, but 2 days does not make a trend. But what CUNA is trying to do is take a breath here, start the school year in some sort of a blended learning plan, and then look a few weeks down the road and see what the numbers are doing. And there's a lot of logic to that.
One more comment here from Jenny Lee saying, it's insane how we don't trust parents to make decisions for their child. Not all kids can learn online. Stay home, send them. Both decisions are okay and right for you. The fighting and the shaming, however, is wrong. And I say this as a certified teacher and mom. And that's the position that every single parent and educator and school district administrator and board of trustee member is facing right now is that it has to be a different decision for every family based on their needs. This isn't a one-size-fits-all education system anymore. And maybe, Kevin, maybe the silver lining coming out of COVID-19 is that education can be revamped to be even better than it ever has been.
Again, you would hope that you get some best practices out of all of this, and that you're forced to try some things and to learn what works, knowing that what works for one child may not work for every child, but you at least get a sense of, here are some things that work for some children in some situations. Maybe it's something we try, maybe we expand on it, maybe we maybe we scale it out to a larger student population. Yes, you would hope that on the other side of this, and there is going to be another side of this. I believe that. I think we all believe that. I know we all hope it. That on the other side of this, we'll be smarter and more thoughtful and wiser about what works and what we can try and what we should continue to pursue. Wiser as educators and wiser as parents.
One of those things, Kevin, and Idaho Education News wrote about it this week, is that the State Board of Education once again decided to waive the college entrance exam. So high school parents, if you have kids who are thinking about going on to college, listen to this, because this year's going to look a little bit different. Explain what they decided to do. And I say again, because they made this decision when COVID hit last spring. Now they've made it yet again for this year, Kevin.
Right. So basically what it means is that high school students who are considering going to college, they're not going to have to take an admissions test. They're not going to have to take the SAT or the ACT in order to get into an Idaho college. This is a short-term solution, but it is part of a bigger national debate. You've had colleges and universities across the country decide to just get rid of the SAT or the ACT as an admissions requirement. So I'm not saying that that's what Idaho is going to do, but as the state board talked about this on Monday, board members hinted at the idea that this is a conversation that this board is going to have down the road. What is the role of the college admissions test in the college admissions process? That's a national debate that's going on. So while this is just a short-term development, it may have some long-term implications.
It's fascinating too, because as we well know, Idaho pays for high school juniors to take the SAT. They even set aside a whole SAT day. So,
right. Which they couldn't do this spring, obviously, because of the coronavirus. You couldn't have the mass SAT day that you had in high schools all across the state for several years now.
And what happens to that money is the next question too, if it's not going to be used that way. Or will that still be offered to kids to take the SAT for free on the state, but not needed to get into an Idaho college?
Yeah, I think right now, nothing has changed there. I think that what the state has been trying to figure out is come up with a vehicle for kids who do want to take the SAT, because they may still need to take it if they're looking to go to a school outside of the state or a school that does require the SAT. How do you preserve that free option for kids who still want it? And as of right now, high school students are still required to take a college entrance exam in order to graduate high school. Even if the Idaho colleges and universities don't require it right now, it's still a high school graduation requirement. So, even though the colleges won't require it, it's still a high school graduation requirement. Again, it's a little bit confusing, but
and Eric makes a good point here too, saying the scores can be very helpful and they're often required for scholarships too. Yeah. So as you hear these messages, I want to make sure people realize that all of a sudden, you don't have to take the SAT anymore. You just don't need it in order to get into an Idaho college next year. But I think Eric makes an extremely good point right there. Elle has a comment for us here, say, thank you for taking the safety of kids seriously. As a mother, I don't care about the inconveniences of remote learning if it keeps my children and our educators safe, which is great for a mom who can be able to deal with what is happening with that. Here's an interesting comment too. Tanya says, my husband and I tested positive back for COVID on the 17th and have been extremely sick. Our 16-year-old didn't have as severe symptoms. I don't see how kids are going to be able to social distance. Tanya, I'd be interested. So he did have symptoms, though. So that's fascinating when a lot of people debate whether or not at what age kids are getting sick and what kind of symptoms they have. It sounds like her 16-year-old definitely experienced some of COVID.
Mhm.
And that's what these school districts are facing as well, is what happens if a child gets sick? What happens if an educator gets sick? What do you shut down? What do you not shut down? And the questions are absolutely endless. And we hope to get a lot of information for you during our town hall about what people really feel who are on the front lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, there's a lot to take out of that comment. First of all, I hope everybody's healthy in that household. I hope we all, get well soon and, get past it. But the question of, how does this affect teenagers? How does it affect kids? We're still trying to figure that out. We're still learning. I mean, the medical community is a long way from having all of those answers.
The good news is that we live in Idaho, folks. And in Idaho, we do band together to try and make the best of a situation. So I do hope that as schools need to do what they need to do, again, I look at the silver lining that we figure this out together, because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot we're still trying to figure out. And, and again, that's why I'm looking forward to tonight and Thursday night. We have 2 town halls coming up. This one tonight will focus on K-12, and then we'll look at higher education on Thursday. Just trying to help you all understand a little bit more and hear from the experts and get a sense of what to expect this fall. And, what's the best knowledge out there right now? And what's the best information out there? What's the best intelligence that we can work off of heading into the school year?
Once again, if you're just joining us, this is Making the Grade. Kevin Richard from Idaho Education News. He and the team at idahoednews.org putting together tremendous work. And coming up today, West Ada's school board trustees will be meeting at 2 o'clock. Idaho News 6 and Idaho Education News will be covering that for you. The school board for the Boise School District meeting tonight after a failed attempt at a meeting last night to decide the fall plans. And we also know that Governor Little is going to be addressing the school reopening issue come Thursday. So, Kevin, quite a bit to cover. And as we like to do with Making the Grade, we always have to end on a fun, funny note. And it's become, what socks is Kevin wearing? So since, we're meeting so often this week to discuss education, did you do something special?
These are actually brand new. Yes, they are. And I wore them for this. I don't think we're going to do a sock segment during the town hall. We have too many smart people, and we're going to have too many good questions from the audience that people aren't going to care about my socks that much. And, but we can do this right now. So as much as I like socks, I like purple even more than I like socks. So this kind of is the best of both worlds. This look it made me think of someplace more islandy. More tropical. I don't know. Leaves in purple and making me think of someplace else. We'll get to travel again someday, right? Right?
Yeah, of course, someday. Yes. By the way, do you have a purple mask?
Yes. True.
Do you have a purple mask?
I do not yet. I have purple masks on order though.
Okay, good to know.
They were a Father's Day gift that were so back ordered that I haven't gotten them yet, but they are purple. Can't wait to get them.
Oh, Father's Day, where we give each other masks. Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin,
that's the most 2020 Father's Day thing ever, right?
Everyone, we really appreciate your comments. We appreciate that you join us for Making the Grade. We hear you, we see you. We're in this with you together. And I do hope that you will pass on the message of tonight's town hall, 6:30 tonight, live right here. You will hear from all of the top experts, from medical to educators, to those people that you voted into office, to make sure that our schools are doing the absolute best they can for our kids, and that we can help support the schools. However, we need to support them as well.
Come back and join us tonight at 6:30. And if you're a Boise parent or a Boise patron and you're trying to keep an eye on the school board meeting, we understand that. This town hall will be archived on our Facebook page at Idaho Education News. It'll be archived at Idaho News 6's Facebook page, right? So yes, people can come back and and catch it later if that works best for you. But if you want to catch it in the moment and ask questions, come join us tonight.
Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate you and all you're doing at Idaho Education News. If you want to read about all of these stories, head to idahoednews.org. And my friend, I will see you back here tonight at 6:30.
2 hours away.